Hey guys, welcome back to Tron Light Runner. In this episode I'll be working on a recognizer, finishing up some details in the town, working on some more Tron-like buildings to a disintegration of corruption in the grid, and also I think I got to work on some light cycles that I forgot to record, so I'll just say that out first off that I forgot to record that. So you'll see it in a live tour of the map. And so let's just start off with what you see in front of you is some feet, or the bottom feet of the recognizer that I am kind of modeling with some shapes, borders, some wall pieces, roof pieces, and I think the angle piece is a roof piece actually. So I'm just going to build one side first, kind of get the general shape of the recognizer's legs. I was very fortunate enough that I had a small little recognizer model on my desk, so I grabbed that and I used that as my reference model and some pictures that I found on the internet, and I just kind of based it off of that and kind of just pulled from that and trying to get that recognizer look, because the recognizer from the original movie is more basic shapes, triangles, rectangles, some holes, or elongated rectangles, and I was just kind of focused on making it like that. So that was kind of the objective here. This was also trying to scale it properly to the buildings that I have already in my city, and if you already have noticed that I'm building this on a separate map, so I can easily work on it. It's easier, faster this way instead of me building it on a map. And then I just did a copy system to kind of move the leg over onto the foot, and then I kind of got the scale, and my little skeleton buddy at the bottom here is my wonderful peep scale. So this is actually a really neat little thing to do. And just do some corrections of angles and some lining up of blocks. And to add some lighting actually inside the boosters to give it that flying, glowing look. So when at night you can actually maybe imagine that it's flying. And then figure out the connection between the legs. So the recognizer is kind of in this weird rectangle see-through type of body, if you want to say it like that. And it's kind of, there's a lot of see-through parts. That's why I also made sure that the legs were see-through. I could have made them solid with shapes or something, but I decided not to do that to kind of give it that extra set of details. The top portion though on top here that you see I'm working on kind of has a see-through, but at this angle you really don't see it, so I'm not really worried about that. So I kind of just skip over that and just kind of build it to kind of imitate that look. And I do like that Architect has this square art style, so that kind of matches the Tron aesthetic, because it is about computers and the grid and the computer stuff, so it kind of works out really well. Then on to finishing the gap between the two legs and working on the main body of the recognizer. So this is where I think a pilot, 2 guards sit, and I think 8 programs they can haul away for either breaking curfew or not having an identity disk or something of that nature. So recognizers are kind of meant to be your police force in the grid. So they're your, not necessarily your antivirus, they're more like your program that keeps programs in line. So it just kind of patrols the city, and kind of just keeps things in orderly. And they're kind of in a scary type of ominous vehicle. These vehicles are just one of a kind. And I like that in Tron Legacy they gave them that extra bit of functionality where they actually bend down, or they get lower. The top part just kind of goes through the legs and just lowers itself. I think that was really cool when they added that type of feature to the recognizer versus the original one. The original one had a cooler thing too, that it had its legs would kind of combine together and become this one giant stomper, and it would stomp programs or vehicles and stuff like that. But again, the recognizer is actually really cool. I think it's a really cool vehicle. Again, I'm a big fan of Tron and Tron Legacy. And hopefully Tron Legacy, no, not Tron Legacy 3, but it's like Tron 3 will hopefully come out into something. That'd be cool. But I digress. Let's talk about more what I'm working on here. I'm just working on the top of the recognizer. So this is probably where the pilot would be. No, this is not where the pilot would be. No, yeah, it would be. Never mind, I'm being silly. That's where the pilot would be the top triangle parts that I made, those shapes. And then the windows, and then this little like grid square thing that I made with some cubes. Kind of gives you that, I don't know, it's all electricity and light up type of thing. So I think this worked out pretty well. I like the look of this recognizer. I was kind of like not 100% in love with how I designed it, but as I like worked on it and kind of toyed with it, it kind of turned out to be pretty cool actually later. So I do like the outcome of it, and it actually looks pretty cool in the city. You'll see in a little bit. I actually put 2 recognizers in. You'll probably see that later in the tour. And just finishing up some border details to give it some more definition, to give it that rigid look, and then on to plop it into the map. So I saved it, figured out where it would sit, and I thought it would be appropriate to fit it right above the chain lift, and the coaster goes right between the legs. Now on to building the station for the roller coaster. Station was a kind of a thing I didn't want to work on because of how difficult stations can be to build. Stations are kind of your central point, your like central point of like your coaster, like it's your identity of what the coaster should be. So I thought to do some old Roller Coaster Tycoon methods would be use a roller coaster track. I think I used the Giga Coaster, and to make a rounded hangar type roof for the coaster's building. Like this is a facility where the vehicles are being repaired on for like the World of Tron, right? And so this is like a repair hangar, and I decided to make this over loop, not loop. It's like a half circle with Giga track. And you'll see in a second that I use a whole bunch of them, and then I put roofs underneath it to give it that more roof look and more togetherness. And it actually worked out really well. I like how it would turn out. And also here I'm doing some more grid work, just putting some more grid down to give it more of that Tron Legacy feel. Here I'm just trying to figure out how I want this, and I built the half dome, and then I just put it on top, and I grabbed a whole bunch of them, and I just put them on top, and there you go. There is basically a roller coaster structure on top. I wouldn't suggest this to be done in any scenario, because you know how expensive this would be to put down every single coaster. It would be like $1,000 per like brace. So don't do it. It's cool like in a diorama like this, so I decided to do it here, and I actually like the effect. It looks really cool. I might do this more often in some other builds. Like maybe I might do it in my American build, like my American Park build. We'll see if it like shows itself. Like if it's cool enough that I will do it, I will try it out. There I just deleted was a corruption test I was working on to make it look like the grid was being corrupted by a virus or something, or it's like falling apart. I get to put that in later, more inside the city, to kind of give it some different pops of color, because again, Tron has this one colors palette, white and black, and I want to cut that off with blues, reds, and yellows, so the corruption's like yellow, like a virus, or greenish yellow. I want to work on that too in a little bit. Here I'm just going to work on figuring out a little building that sets on the outcrop of the main station building, just kind of give it an entrance, because the entrance and the exit are kind of use the same pathways. You want to say pathways. Kind of just build it like this, and then build some awnings to kind of just add some more interest to where these awnings are. I don't know. It just kind of I'm just guesswork at the moment, because that's kind of, if you just feel it, you just do it. And it's kind of my philosophy a little bit when I work on some stuff. I decided to add a cover over the queue line to kind of hide it, because I wanted to give it more of a mysterious look, and kind of hides away, and I kind of like that idea. So I did some pipes on the side, as you can see there, to give it some industrial feeling, because it is a facility that works on some like type of light vehicles or something. And I also wanted to keep the roof somewhat like you can still see through it, so you can see the vehicles get loaded with guests and then launch off to its chain lift. So that was kind of the point here. Did some boxes for storage to give it some storage type of stuff, or give it some realism, or make it like it's been lived in or being used as an actual workplace for programs. Like I imagine programs being used for like working on these light vehicles for transport of packets or information, because that's basically what it is. Like circuits are like freeways, and like the vehicles of those information would be like light cycles, light cars, light trucks, light jets, other things. Like recognizers are probably like informational, stuff like that. And then yeah, it's just kind of building the, what is it called? World building. World building is what is important, to kind of give yourself more detail in a build. It gives it extra little things. Like again, that's why I think Parkitect is really cool on doing that, because it feels like a little model than an actual like game. It's a game, but it's more than that. It's just, it feels like this is like a little toy that I get to like work with, model it, and I make this like cool little world, a micro world that you get to hold in your hands, kind of. You get to explore it and enjoy its little details, and that's what I think is so cool about this game, and that's why I bring so much attention to it, and of why I've played so much hours into this game, because of the versatility you can do for it, and it just gives it that, I don't know, it's a really good creative game. And then on top of that, the management is also really good too. So like for my scenarios, I like to get really like into the management stuff, but I digress again. Let's move on to corruption that I'm going to work on, this little corruption grid, because I had an issue with how the track was kind of designed with Coaster V did. And I decided to add some corruption near the lower parts of the track to give it that little bit of an excitement of that, oh, this part of the grid is collapsing by something came in and it corrupted a sector, and now you're kind of just dodging through it, and I'm just going to make it look like it's falling apart, pixelizing, derezzing, as you want to say it. And I kind of like the idea of making little pits and then putting shapes in them that are a little smaller, and then making even smaller cubes to kind of digitize it and give it that corruption look. Now the corruption idea came from the video game Tron Evolution, because in that story they did introduce a virus that apparently lives on the grid, and they didn't know it, or Kevin Flynn did not know that it existed, and that apparently was in the system anyway. So it's kind of, I like that extra story, so I'm gonna pull from it, and it was a really cool idea. The little yellow grid pieces that I did are all made of hanger pieces. Hanger pieces are really good for those really skinny lines that you want, instead of like the borders, which are really thick lines. So use that if you want to have smaller lines. The unfortunate part is that there's no curved lines, but there's other ways around the curved line stuff, what I've done before. I did some other little cubes to kind of decorate the cubes in the area, to kind of give it that decay. Oh yeah, and even add some sparks in it just to give it some like dynamic lighting, or it's like motion to it, so it's like it's actually happening. And then I did some like yellow type of fog to kind of give it that it's glowing and intensely decaying or derezzing right in front of you. This tower was built really quickly here, just give the station a little bit more verticality, and again, as Silverite would put it, you put down spires, and this is kind of my spire to give the building some interest, so I decided to do that, and added excitement to make the coaster dip underneath a bridge of some sort to give it some more like interaction with the coaster, because the coaster kind of loses some of its interaction toward this section, So I decided to add a little bit of building to interact with the coaster. I think this actually turned out okay. I think I added another tower right at the end of it, make it a little bit taller. Again, the spire is cool, especially in Tron. They're all like skyscrapers, so it actually works out pretty well. As you can see, the coaster's not supported, but it does get custom supported like throughout. Like I did it with the support mod, and I made sure that the supports were kind of like glowing and like energy light and stuff like that. So it's like really cool idea. So I did that. I did some different tests on different lights, lines, and some grid work on the buildings to give it that Tron aesthetic, and it looks really cool. Unfortunately, at night this map doesn't look so good because of these lights are not really glowing, or the borders or the pillars are not really glowing. So there is that. I did consider to use the neon light mod, but again, I like to stick with just using vanilla assets with Construction Anarchy, so I do like to do that. I've been thinking about using the neon one, but I kind of wasn't into it, so I just wanted to figure out some different things with vanilla shapes in this type of theme for Tron. So that's what I stuck with, and yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. I might do more Tron stuff in the future, maybe depending on what comes up. I mean, I'm not going to do a Tron theme again, probably not for the next challenge, probably something different. Again, I always pick something different. It's always like, well, again, I've done, oh my gosh, I've done like 2 movies in a row, 2 movie themes, so Harry Potter and now Tron, which is kind of funny, but I want to do something that's more my stuff, or more of my invention, or my own imagination. We'll see what happens. Now on to building the Outlands, where the grid changes from established to more raw code, maybe, if you want to call it that. And so I just did a little cool trick with roofs, and those roofs are from the the Halloween pack, the spooky pack. And I just kind of used that and kind of covered the depot with it, and you'll see the final like product of that later, after I'm just here just jumping around doing details here and there. Like I'm bordering the edge of the map to make it more feel like a diorama, because I had an idea to add like electricity lines on the side of the map, and then I put the title of the name of the coaster, Tron Light Runner, on the side of it. You'll see that in the life tour. I gotta give it that diorama feel, and I think that actually is a cool idea. I might do that for other builds, because again, it's like a diorama. It's like a little model, gets built, and then you get to share it with people. It's really cool. So here I did some light lines on the edges of the Outlands to give that definition of like, oh, it's cracked here, and it just kind of just sits in here, and it gives off this glowingness, and it kind of separates the grid on the Outlands. And the Outlands was kind of focused on just making it more rocky terrain. I did not get to do like a tunnel for the coaster to go through terrain, because I felt like it would be too much. It was kind of just, it was not clicking with me. I didn't like the idea, but I did put in the plateau that I wanted for my light cycles that are kind of battling outside, so you get to see that. And then you'll see I'll use later some basalt pillars to kind of give it that stuff. So on to the live playthrough. Okay, here we are in Tron Light Runner. I'm just going to show you around some cool little stuff on the final episode of Tron Light Runner. And I forgot to record some things. Like, I forgot to record this section, but I don't think it was that entertaining to show you. But I'll just show you some key features and stuff like that on the whole togetherness of this level. So let's first start off with Tron Light Runner. So I did a little a diorama type of thing. Kind of did electricity lines and some other things like that. I did only halfway through. I didn't want to do the entire model, but I could have. But I think it looks cool. It looks pretty neat. Here's some close-ups of the station and another recognizer. I just put one down like right here so the coaster gets to interact with that recognizer as well as the one in the beginning. And then everything that was like custom supported is here. Here comes the coaster. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, I think this looks really nice. And then it goes over itself here on the grid or the corruption and stuff like that. And then we do some. Here's 2 light cycles that I built out of a couple different shapes. I think I made them out of cookies and some shapes and some other things, and then I made their light walls right behind out of glass, and then brighten up their colors to kind of give it that glowing effect. And they look cool from this distance. They're kind of like racing out here in the Outlands. Other parts of the city. This is a being constructed building. I guess this is a good song. And then we had some other little features here and there. And then, yeah, this is basically all of Tron. Nothing really much more to show you, actually. This was a fun little build. The next build is coming up soon, actually. I think it's a bobsled coaster because we already posted it. And the results for the winners for this month will happen, I think, in like the coming days. So stay tuned on that. Stay close on a new video on some of the DLC stuff because I have some things to share there. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.